Hey everybody, hello and welcome. My name is David Lees, and in this video I'll be doing a review of Transformers: A Bold New Era, issue 17. Regular viewers will know last time we had issue 16, which I still reckon is one of my favourites from the series. A lot of action, a lot of brightly coloured frames, some fantastic images, and so on, phaser fire, blasters, and so on. Really hoping that we'd continue on this new high-speed all singing, all dancing, all shooting version of Transformers. A little disappointed this time, but it's still a good issue. I've said before, never trust a book by its cover, especially with this series. We have Megatron here on the cover with the planet Cybertron. The planet Cybertron features in today's issue, in this week's issue, but not Megatron. It's this strange thing that the comic cover artists have about featuring characters on the cover that don't actually then feature inside. The recap of where we're up to. You may recall last time Megatron, realising he's been a sucker, that Soundwave is completely inept and has hired Bumblebee, of all people, within to enter into the security team for the Decepticons. That's not working. Then we have the Micromaster team inside Astrotrain off to the Titan Communication Centre. Waking up this Titan, I wake. And seeing what happens there. So good to see the use of some of the old features from some of the very early issues, like the ring of Titans that are in orbit dormant above Cybertron. One of them has been awoken, and we'll see where that takes us. Moving straight on, let's get straight in. Love this picture at the start. There's Windblade and the other Micromasters that we saw last time, and Astrotrain for scale. So you really see how much bigger Astrotrain is compared to the Micromasters, all the other way around. I can defeat whichever half of security dares to test us, Slipstream. But Slipstream, who's leading, says we need to get out of the way before being detected. Standard Decepticon ruse. Sorry, strategy, not a ruse at all. And that may be true, but unnecessary. They can't undo what we've done, so let's disappear and let's let events run their course. So whatever they've set in motion is going to be good, and indeed it is. Astrotrain describes it as disappointing. He'd rather stand and fight, which sounds about right to me. But there we go, Astrotrain transforming into a Cybertronian steam engine. A little bit strange that, but still, we'll move on. Cyclonus, a bit disappointed to see Cyclonus. He's just a strange character in my view, with a backstory that no one's bothering to explain, apart from he's haunted by ghosts, his conscience, or old war allies, or whatever. Looking at the ruins of the memorial crater, you may recall Soundwave blew it up to try and contain the story about what was going on with Megatron and his plans. So there we are, the memorial crater is now just a crater, it's a ruin. And it's not much here. I'm going to whiz straight on to some of the interesting stuff. Speaking of which, Hotspot comes along as the leader of the Protectobots and says security's closed down the area, time for you to leave. And the Autobots, or the Protectobots, think it was Six-Shot. So interesting. Megatron's misdirection, misinformation is working to some extent, but it's still quite clear that things are falling apart on Cybertron. Meanwhile, kind of, apropos of nothing, they're on the Winged Moon. It's two Autobots up there, Lancer and his colleague here, Wheeljack. It took us a while, Lancer, but you can tell Perceptor we found it. I fear we had or have a riser up here who has installed an energon siphon and transmitter on the Winged Moon. The Winged Moon, you may recall or may not, was featured way back in issue 2. Let me just flip back to issue 2 for a moment. You may recall Rubble, who I think we're all happy not to have to recall, watched the Winged Moon unfurl. It's kind of an energon harvester tethered to the planet with this tether, with kind of like a chain or a rope or whatever, and would receive energon from, in this case it looks like from cosmic rays or whatever, convert it and transmit it down to the planet for use for storage and rationing, as per the Autobot rules. Well, it turns out, back to issue 16, that one of the Rise has fitted a siphon, and they're transmitting it somewhere, but ultimately to the base under the memorial crater. We're going through a relay somewhere else in orbit. So, I'm really pleased to see the final fulfillment or the continuation of that plot element from way back in issue 2, now being picked up in issue 17. And Gears is facing some gravitational difficulties. So there's Huffer, there's a good number of the classic G1 characters getting extended cameos. So there's Lancer, Huffer, Gears, and so on. There's Gears, stuck somewhere in outer space. I can't believe it happened again. If you've read the Valentine's Day special, you'll know more about Huffer being stranded in space near Cybertron. If not, you'll read it, watch my video review. One well worth watching, reading for the comic element, the funny side. I can't work like this. Doing anything without proper gravity is like doing something stupidly hard. Pull us in, Huffer. So Gears has returned. Gears at this point still quite a young Autobot, and as Wheeljack pulled out, don't worry Gears, everyone has some bumps early on for variable definitions of early, so Gears perhaps should be sorting himself out by now. Cosmos turns up, nice nod again to the Valentine's Day issue. That is, as I said, well worth a read. And they suddenly realise while they're on the surface of this moon, there's a Titan coming this way. That's why Cosmos has appeared. Lodestar is the only one who's awake, and she's been hanging around in orbit, but this isn't Lodestar, it's someone else coming in fast. This looks like it's possibly Wheelie or Huffer, I'm not quite clear. Meanwhile, on the Titan Net Prime Hub, Blaster in communications, like in this, realising that they've lost all communications with the Titans, courtesy of what the Decepticons did last time. This is Wavelength, and they've found they can't access or reach any of the Titans. Vigilum's awake. Vigilum unresponsive but definitely awake and approaching the moon. Lodestar is the one who's normally awake, and on board Lodestar we have Lightbright. Blaster contacts Lightbright and says what's going on up there, and we need Lodestar to go and check because Vigilum is on an intercept course for the moon, the winged moon. Vigilum speaker not responding, so the conversation here between Bright Light, who kind of lives, breathes, resides on Lodestar, kind of as a two-man team if you want, and so Lodestar contacts Vigilum directly in Titan language, and Vigilum is just spouting historic nonsense. Vigilum needs you to alter course. What are you talking about, Lodestar? Reciting some of Codex's writings, The Way We Were, by one who saw it. So it's a bad sign, but we need to get Vigilum away from the moon. Vigilum, the one who'd been activated by the Decepticons. So Vigilum, this bright kind of orangey, large battle station kind of sized Titan, comes in, all weapons blazing, and there's this huge interstellar battle. Vigilum, huge, massively powerful weapon in space, and Lodestar with Bright Light, much smaller, fewer weapons, much more agile and well, vulnerable basically as a target. So that's only going to end one way. Vigilum just keeps shooting. Wheeljack, oh no, he's coming in. So it's not working. We miss out, unfortunately, on the transformation of Vigilum into his robot mode. You can see this is his foot here, as he stands on the moon. Sorry, stands on Cybertron, I believe. There's Wheeljack down in the corner for scale. And starts on the tether that I mentioned earlier, that tethers the moon to the planet. And he's just absolutely blasting it. Lodestar comes in, attempts to shoot him and suffers massive catastrophic failure. Primary thrust fail, moving away, I cannot follow, the tether is falling. So, interesting use of some of the previous elements from the story. The winged moon, the tether of the winged moon gets destroyed, the winged moon starts coming in by the looks of it. It's certainly falling. So the tether, possibly the moon as well, depends on how they interpret gravity and physics. Hopefully not as Gears does. And the Titans, one of them has woken up and the rest are unavailable for comment. So really nice to see the high tempo actions from last time. The Decepticons really raising the stakes, starting to have larger consequences. There's no way this can be backed down from. They're going to have to continue as Megatron sees it on this path to crisis. So, not as active, not as much action and activity as last time. More of a big space battle rather than the close quarters shooting that we had in the previous issue. Still good. I still prefer issue 16 to this one. This one ranks quite highly. And I'll go through the cover gallery very quickly. Next issue, Chromia possibly. Looks like she's tethered, or perhaps this is the moon tethered to the planet. I'm not sure quite what they're interpreting here. We saw Megatron, who we didn't see today. So, as I mentioned, the cover never tells you what's actually going on inside. It's like a cryptic clue. Megatron looks like he's pleased with his Decepticon logo, or is considering the weight of the actions he's about to take. I'm not sure. And then Megatron with a mask. Nice. Interesting little deception going on there. I mentioned in my previous video, Transformers Galaxies issue 5 will be Cliffjumper. I sincerely hope it is much better than the Constructicon stuff we've had so far. And then the Whedonverse, if that's your thing, it isn't mine. And the usual blurb on the back. There we go. So, issue 17. Good, but not excellent. More to follow next month. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, transform and roll out. Please do like, comment and subscribe. Until then, bye for now.